Howdy ho, everyone, and welcome aboard. It is Thursday, the 10th of September, and it is bang on ECB press conference time. I'll just share with you the trade that I've got in the market, euro US dollar, and sorry, it's not a trade in the market, it's an order in the market, and it hasn't been triggered. I have decided that I'll leave it there because it's a fair way from entry. And hi, John. Yeah, pound's going well again, mate. Well, it depends on how you look at that, frankly. My pound Kiwi trade that I've been in for months is looking like it's doomed. Well, I mean, it's a winning trade, but yeah, it was a whole lot more winning about 2 weeks ago or even 10 days ago. Anyway, yes, we're making money on the pound on the breakout trade. And we've done okay this week, despite one little loser, I think. Righto, so ECB press conference underway. We've already had the interest rate, or whatever they call it, bank rate or something, run, dusted, over and done. And that was, of course, as expected. No movement there. The statement, monetary policy statement, I have not read. And I would imagine that Ash would be all over listening to the ECB press conference at the moment, and perhaps he's even read the statement. And he'll share that with us when he pops into the room very, very shortly, I am sure. Let's go to the 30-minute chart here to see what's happening. There you go. That's what's happening. The speech is obviously underway, and it looks like Ms. Lagarde is saying something that is
Oh, I don't think that's
positive.
about that actually, mate. I think it is. We just had US jobless claims out, unemployment claims, and they are flat. But it looks like not flat. Sorry, they're slightly higher, but most importantly, they're seasonally adjusted to be higher than they would be normally this season as well. So pretty
see.
bad number, I think, on the jobless claims.
Rightio. So this is not anything to do with the press conference, which is
I
underway.
don't think so. I think we're about to get that in a moment. And if she's going to do a job, then really we need to see, her job really is to weaken the euro here. The last thing she's going to want is further euro strength, I would have thought at this point. So we might see this turn around.
Did you read the statement? I didn't. I haven't done that.
No, I haven't, mate. No, I'm just I've got the news on in the background. So if anything kind of comes up, I'll give you a shout.
Okay. As I said, I've got a daily order placed on the euro US dollar short. I think I've left that in the market, and I don't think that's in any danger of being triggered anytime soon by the look of that. As the place where I've had the stops looks more under threat than does the entry. But we'll see what the pivots do, and if this market can continue to go long, that will be very, very interesting, because that's kind of going to kill a few of my ambitions for the day. The dollar is sinking as we speak, and as you say, that's probably related to the numbers that we've seen, and we're now below the 93 handle on the dollar index. Yeah, okay. I'm prepared to wait this out and see exactly how this candle finishes, of course. But at the moment, you would have to say that the euro is doing quite okay. I assume the pound's turned around on the back of that. Yeah, a little bit. Breakout trade still going well. We've got a stop. I've got my stop loss even below entry, having taken 2 lots of profit on that as well. So all good. Euro,
Yeah.
what else have I got going? A whole heap of stuff I've got going. You were about to say something.
Well, just quite an interesting market reaction actually. We've seen gold strengthen, as you say, right across the board. We got some dollar weakness, and it has just started to lift the VIX up a little bit. Just seeing the US equities just coming off a little bit as well, off the back of that number, which, as always, it could go one of two ways from here. If there's some significant dollar weakness, actually, that might continue to boost stocks to the upside. They're just making a decision. Actually, they're the only things that aren't moving. As we're seeing that dollar weakness coming into play, euro strength, and as you say, the pound got a bounce. Gold is flying, as is silver. The VIX is starting to turn around a little bit. We're starting to see the equities just coming off a little bit, but they are, as I say, probably digesting those numbers and deciding whether it's going to be good or bad for the market.
Yes, me too. I'm trying to decide whether it's good or bad for the positions I've got in the market. Well, not the positions, but the orders I've got in the market. And at this point in time, I think I'll just leave it. I really want to see what the reaction to the press conference is, and I guess she's been through all the welcomes and things. She'll be into the guts of it very, very shortly. I would imagine we'll see some reaction. One would expect. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know how we end the day, quite frankly. But I'll be interested to see what the American traders think of all of what the press conference that is currently underway will be. It looks to me as, and if they get a sniff, you know, if the dollar bears get another sniff, which it looks like they may have, the dollar could well be off again.
Agreed, mate. Yeah, agreed. I'm just listening to Christine Lagarde right now, and she's effectively, in some respects, talking down the euro in the way that it sounds like there's going to be lots and lots of liquidity that's going to be pumped into the market. So, yeah, the dollar's not looking too good right now, and it may continue to weaken, but she might have the power just to kind of halt it against the euro.
She better put some starch in her knickers pretty soon if that's going to be the case.
Yeah, she's on it, mate. She's trying.
She's onto it through clenched teeth. Here she goes. Here she comes.
Yeah, and this is the thing, isn't it? It's like there's no point in really making too much of a decision on the euro as yet, because one could quite easily counteract the other, and in a big way. What she's about to say, or what she is saying, is going to be much more important than those jobless claims. Those jobless claims have come in weaker than expected seasonally, and it will put pressure on the dollar because of the potential for further stimulus from the central bank of America, from the Fed, But when it comes down to the euro, then she may well just be able to say enough to at least curb too much of a move to the upside. But until she's finished, then we won't really know. But if she doesn't say anything too negatively, euro dollar longs might start to really kick up.
Well, yeah, it's like a bit of a taco at the moment, isn't it? She's up and down. And yeah, I've got no idea where that ends, and nobody does until she's finished, as you say. So what else is happening around the place? As I said in the earlier show, there were amazing amount of setups that I had this morning. I had to deal with them. I think I chose about 3, maybe 4 that I have traded or put orders on, but gee whiz, there are a whole truckload of decisions to make this morning. I'll let you listen to Christine, and I might even go through those if I can find where they are. That's probably my next big. Oh, actually, I want to have a look at what dollar yen's done. Nothing. It's going sideways at the rate of knots. Where is this chart I'm looking for? It's not that one. I was dead set keen to get short EuroCAD again. That may be off the table as well. Maybe I'm on this thing here. I do have an order short Aussie Swissy. That hasn't triggered. It's here somewhere, Ash. I know it's here somewhere. It's not there. It's not there. Aussie CAD. I've got an order on Aussie CAD. CAD Swiss. That's the one I've been in for weeks and weeks and weeks. And under extreme pressure at the moment, you would think that's gone. Again, profit in the bank on that one. So not the end of the world, but certainly not what was expected. Euro pound. That's one I've been looking to trade short as well. And again, it's kind of swimming against a very, very strong tide. And it's very, very difficult to imagine that we're not going to challenge the top of this rectangle that we see here. And maybe even maybe even the ultimate high. I'm not counting on that, and I'm certainly looking for this to reverse. So I'd like to see something of a pullback underneath the trend line here, retest it, and then I will look for the short. I can't find this chart I'm looking for, which is a bit weird. Well, it's okay. I can pull up. There it is. That's what I was looking for. Yeah, there are all the potential trades I had this morning because when I looked at my market direction charts, this is what I saw. 16 setups right there. Well, they're not all setups, but they look very much like setups. And Aussie Swiss, as I said, is one that I have placed an order on, and we're short underneath this bar here. Obviously, as I said, hasn't triggered yet. We'll see how that one pans out. Aussie yen, this is the common theme, right? So we've had, well, really 5 or 6 days of bearish activity, a little bit of a pullback there in the middle of it. This is a very common theme. And yesterday we had a very big response from the buyers on Aussie yen. And that was the conundrum this morning. It's okay, which is the stronger here? The bears in control, or are the bulls fighting back sufficiently to take this back to the highs and potentially beyond and continue the trend? So that was the big question mark I had on all of these pairs this morning, and I decided that most of them had far better potential to the short side or the retracement / reversal side than they did to the high side, or in the other direction, obviously the low side. So I've placed a few trades based on a break of pivots, a break of trade lines, a break of trend lines, break of horizontal levels, and a retest of horizontal levels, trend lines, trade lines, and or pivots. So you'll find that I've got a few orders underneath yesterday's bar daily candle, and the stops in swing areas rather than trading just the candle. Aussie yen was not one of those. It was one I didn't choose. Aussie US dollar is one that I have had a little bit of an investment on. And again, the entry's underneath this bar. The stop loss is above. That, again, if the dollar continues to tank, is highly unlikely. CAD Swiss I've left alone. I was in, or still am, by the skin of my teeth, still am in a long CAD Swiss, but that's not looking particularly bright at present. One wouldn't think. There's the stop loss, not far away. Where there's life, there's hope, of course. But yeah, you'd have to be thinking that this one's going to at least test the monthly pivot, and perhaps further than that. If I'm a glass half full type of person, then I'm probably going to have a look at the bigger picture and say same. I can't find, well, I can find probably an offset double bottom here, and a break and retest of daily pivot and weekly pivot. So I can be an ultimate optimist here and say, oh, all right, well, this can still go long. Of course it can. I'm not completely forlorn here, but gee whiz, if I had to make it just gun to my head right now, I'm saying, okay, this is going to at least the monthly pivot before it goes anywhere else. So that's CAD Swiss. And again, similar scenario where we've had breaks of pivots after days, if you like, leading up to the retracement that we had on Monday, Tuesday, then a little bit of a pullback in this case, not a substantial one. And that probably was a bit of a precursor as to what was to come next. They couldn't quite get back into that candle very, very strongly, or indeed to the weekly pivot. The next one was CAD yen. And, it's the same chart as we've been looking at on the Aussie pairs, right? Where we've had break of weekly pivot, monthly pivot, daily pivot, and then a response yesterday. And again, for mine, the best way to trade that is to put an entry underneath that bar your stop is an issue here. Where do you put your stop? And it probably has to go above the weekly pivot. So I didn't take that one. Swissy yen. That's not what I want. Swissy yen. Come on, you can do it. Sorry about the delay in my charts changing their shape. Something up with which I must put at the moment for some reason. In fact, my other computer is just completely slow as a wet week. I don't think I'll put you through this pain, guys. There you go. Not dissimilar to what we've seen. Double top sitting here, but this one has chosen to go through the pivots already. So this may well challenge the highs here. So the Swissy is outpacing the yen, and very, very interesting to take a line through the Swissy and the yen this week to see exactly what kind of market we've had in terms of sentiment. The way I do that is, of course, have a look at the news in summary, but also have a look at this particular thing. And for some of you, that may be an option. For some of you, it may not. It's called, well, I call it a relative strength indicator, or chart, really. It's not an indicator. And I find it on this website. I have no affiliation to them, and it's free, so I'm not plugging it. It's just a tool that I use. And you can see that today the Swissy is outranking the yen, of course. These are all relative to the US dollar. And if I go a little bit wider out to a week, we can see that the yen is getting closer, but as there's still a big gap, and the Swissy is definitely the favored one. Then if I go out to a month, it's still the same. So it's very, very difficult to be thinking that Swissy yen is a short prospect at this point in time. So I would think that potentially we're going to, as I say, challenge these highs, if not find a new high. Interesting after that lower low that was put in on Tuesday. It may not be the case, but from that little relative strength indicator that I'm looking at there, that looks like it may well be. And let's have a look at the day, actually, and see what is going off and what isn't. Euro is the strongest one on the board against the US dollar. Pound is the weakest one on the board against the US dollar. And certainly we're seeing that in euro pound, pardon me, as the pair just continues to go from strength to strength. This does not mean for 1 second that that's going to stay that way, of course. And the interesting part, I suppose, about that is when you've got a big gap, guess what happens? Gaps tend to close. And that's what I'll be probably looking for, in concert with, of course, the markets or the structure of the chart, which is suggesting to me that the next time we hit a boundary being top or bottom of the range, will be the bottom. So and that's based on the last time we visited was the top, because by its very nature, range goes from bottom to top to bottom to top to bottom to top. So that's exactly what I'll be looking for. Maybe even as early as the next half hour or so as we get into the US session, or well, next hour or so as we get into the US session. What else can I glean from this, apart from the fact that we've got a weak dollar and everything seems to be outpacing it? I think if we have a look at the monthly chart, that's a little bit more revealing, because we've got the risk on currencies or commodity currencies, Aussie, CAD, Kiwi, and the safe haven currencies, yen and Swissy, in a bit of a flip-flop. So we've gone from risk-on environment earlier in the month, last month, into what appears to me this week to be quite the reverse of that, where the Swissy and the yen.
Do you know, mate? Just to give you a little bit of an update.
Yep.
What Christine Lagarde has basically said is risk is comfortably back on the table. So certainly for today, I'd be now quite surprised to see um, any sort of like movement in the opposite direction from what we've seen from these indices. These indices have been trending higher for the last couple of days, and I think they're probably going to continue in that fashion. There's just lots of talk of as much support is necessary, and it certainly appears that that would be something that traders would probably quite like. I am currently seeing the Nasdaq push higher. The FTSE's just struggling to get out of the traps a little bit, but it might actually give us a buying opportunity with that one in the next 15 or 20 minutes. And same with the S&P as well. S&P is pushing also quite significantly higher now, breaking some levels, with the VIX pushing lower. So yeah, looks like for right now anyway, Christine Lagarde is supporting some risk being back on the table for the day. The euro is continuing to hold its price value is the one caveat to all that, I suppose. But that doesn't necessarily mean that the stock market will weaken from here. But it's looking pretty solid at the minute, mate.
Yeah, look, that's bad news for me, to be fair, because I'm looking for it to go the other way. And my market structures are still telling me that's going to be the case. And I'll be following that. So just because we're seeing a pretty strong rally right now does not mean that's where the day ends, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Nor does it mean it'll continue. But from what you're saying, it sounds as though there is sound basis to be thinking that way, I would have thought.
Yeah, and the dollar weakness is also potentially going to help some of those US stocks as well. And it has weakened significantly. You know that we are seeing a push in right across the board in all commodities and currencies against the dollar, and the dollar index is significantly lower right now. And it's you have to sort of say that the data just isn't aiding it. The data is just not helping the dollar out at all. And from here, I'll be surprised if it turns around. I think we're going to get a day of a fairly bullish price action to the upside. So we should be looking for opportunities in the US show anyway for a push higher if possible.
Okay, well, there is the dollar index. And like I said in the earlier show, I can make a case for, or I could have made a case for both the bears and the bulls. And that was based pretty much on, if you like, the top of this range, or also, well, you little sod, get back there. The potential for this to be a breakout of certainly that inside range, but the trend line as well, or trade line as I call them, and then the retest of that. So I can totally get, and that's a pattern that I do like to trade long. So I could certainly make a case for that, but equally so, I could make a case that they're going to bounce off this line and go short and then test the bottom of this range that we have created, I suppose, in the last, 6 trading days before yesterday, because, this is the best performance that the dollar's put on for quite some time, 6 up days. Where was the last time that happened? You got to go back.
Yeah, it's been a while, isn't it? It has been a while.
So, and as I said, if the bears really do get a sniff here, then this low goes, and if this low goes, look out. Let me go a little bit wider. So I've got control panels all over this, and I can't read it. And ads, of course. You'd think I'd pay these people, wouldn't you? So you've got that level, banging your sights here. If the current low of this bar goes, then we're potentially down here in the 88s.
Yeah,
a fair way to go, and the cliff that we've fallen off appears to have a bit of a distance yet to fall.
It does, mate. Do you know what? I mean, when it comes down to it, we've just had a pretty negative read on the unemployment data, and we just had Christine Lagarde out, actually talking down the euro in many respects. And we're seeing there's some dollar weakness come in. But I am in agreement with you that the move right now is coming from a sell zone, and it was, if it's not going to pop up on data, it's going to go down. But it doesn't mean that it's going to fall through the floor at this particular stage. It just means that this could be another day that dollar bulls have to wait for. Basically, it's just not, potentially not today. I won't be trading the euro dollar short today, that's for sure. But it doesn't mean that it's all over. It just means that the timing just isn't there yet.
Yeah, I think I can safely cancel the order that I've got in the market on it. That's for sure, because it's a long way from entry there right now. Let me see where that is currently. Our entry is at 117.48. We're currently at 118.90, so 150 pips away. Nah, that's not going to happen. So, well, I'm not saying it's not going to happen. What I'm saying is it's going to happen without me. I certainly don't want to enter there if the market comes back that far. Up here somewhere, that might interest me, but no, I'll be cancelling that order. In fact, if I can do that now, I will do it. Done. So what can we look forward to try? I mean, I've still got tons of things that don't include the euro to trade in the US session. How about yourself?
Oh, absolutely, man. I'm looking for some longs now in some of these equities, and there's still likely to be pullbacks. There's a decent move to the downside suggests that there's still going to be plenty of people that are willing to sell this off. But just from what we've just heard today, it wouldn't suggest that that's going to be the case. Now, the euro strengthening doesn't really put the European equities in a particularly good basket for that. If we were to continue to see some pound strength, then I'll probably flip to that. But this dollar weakness is certainly pointing me towards the S&P and maybe the Nasdaq as well. So there's still lots to do. When it comes down to some of the other things in the market, we'll check out Bitcoin. We are going to put some indicators on Bitcoin in the show.
For shouting out that Bitcoin's up as the euro goes
yes,
up.
Bitcoin is up indeed. Yes, as the dollar continues to weaken, all assets are up against Bitcoin. So against the dollar. So Bitcoin is having a pretty good run of it. As is Ethereum, as is gold, silver, the euro, the pound, even. So yeah, all of those things are suggesting that the dollar does need to hold where it is if we're not actually going to get a significant move in these currencies and commodities. But we do have to try and figure out how important is the data we've just had released in comparison to the big picture. Is it the final piece of the puzzle that really starts to sink the dollar? Or should we be waiting for something further than what we've had so far? And we'll talk about that. We'll talk about that in the US show. Let's cover some of this stuff and see if we can make a good decision on today's trade.
Okay, I'm now out of the pounds, having taken 2 lots of profit. So it's a winner, but it's not the winner that we were looking for. And that can be said of many of these pairs that I've been in for quite some time. Pound Kiwi in particular, very disappointed in that at this point. I think I'm still in. I haven't got it on this chart, but yeah, it's come back a long, long way, and it looks to be under extreme pressure right now as that pound does continue to fall against the US dollar. Not so much right now, but against other currencies, it's as weak as lolly water.
Yeah, well, there's a meeting today on that as well, mate. There's a lot going on today. We got Brexit negotiations also kicking into place today, and
really?
So we want to hear some positive noises from that. So Michel Barnier has already come out and said that he's not too hopeful. So at this stage there is negative voices. EU pondering legal action against the UK. Because of Boris Johnson's European Union contract and reneging on the contract effectively. So they're not going into these conversations with too much goodwill. Let's call it that. So hopefully common sense will somehow manage to come through. But not looking too good at the minute. In fact, there's a little, not looking too good at the minute, but we'll get information on that as the day passes as well.
All right. Well, we better get off YouTube because our time is up, and we will get stuck into the US session, which is half hour away from opening, of course. But we will be back on YouTube next Monday through Thursday in both the UK opening and, of course, the preview to the US session as well. So thank you for those who have tuned in. We look forward to your company next week in both of those or either of those shows. And if you are subscribers, we'll catch you up in about 30 seconds flat. Bye, YouTubers.
Bye, guys.